And are you in the camp of, these guys believe what they say when they get out there and they get softballed these easy questions in the press conferences, and then when all the central bankers get together at the G20s and they say, oh, we're going to print, then we're going to print, and they think, well, hold on, we're all going to be back to square one if we're all printing. Do you think they believe this game, or where do they think this is going?
It's more likely that they don't believe it and they're lying because they're wrong so often. It's hard to believe that that's just random. I mean, You can't be wrong that consistently. So it's more likely that they're wrong on purpose, that they're just saying what they know everybody wants to hear. I remember, too, listening to an interview, and they were interviewing Ben Bernanke. And so they played some clips from 2007 when he said, everything is great, nothing to worry about, the subprime market is contained, we're not going to have a recession, right? And they played it back, and the guy said, how does it feel, listening to this, right? Knowing how wrong you were, right, back then. And what Bernanke's answer was, instead of saying, I really got it wrong, he said, well, I was part of the administration, which of course is a lie, right? The Fed's supposed to be independent. But he said, I was part of the administration, and so I couldn't actually be honest about what I thought. I had to kind of toe the party line. So basically, Bernanke, as chairman of the Fed, said that what he was saying was just optimism because Bush was optimistic. And so he was being a good political ally of the president and playing his part of trying to talk up the economy because that was the party line, rather than being honest with the American public about what he actually believed. So this is what the guy said. So it's kind of an admission that he was lying. Now, I don't know if he's lying now or he was lying then, because maybe he's embarrassed about saying how wrong he was, so he's pretending that he was lying. But either way, he was either lying during the interview or he was lying back in 2007 when he said everything was fine and there was nothing to worry about. But either way, you got to realize that Bernanke's a liar. And so if Bernanke's a liar, well, what about Yellen? What about Powell or Greenspan? They're all lying.
Did you see recently there was the former RBA head that came out and said that a very similar thing. He said it was all about the optics, and often what they'd talk about at board meetings and say to the media, they would think very different things privately. It's unbelievable to hear the head of the central bank saying these sort of things. Watch what they say.
These guys place a lot of stock in confidence, investor confidence, consumer confidence. So they don't want to say something negative to hurt people's confidence. So even if they think some bad things are going to happen, they're never going to admit that. They're always going to say nothing to worry about, everything is great, because what they're afraid of is if they actually come out and tell people, hey, we're worried a recession is coming, they're worried that that's going to alter people's behavior, that they're going to, wait, I better not buy that major purchase if a recession is coming. Oh, I better not hire these extra workers. I better not build this new factory or whatever. And so the Fed is afraid of actually causing the recession that it's worried about by admitting that they think it's coming. So what they would rather do is just deny that they see a problem and hope that that false confidence somehow means that we don't get the recession. But what it actually means is that when the recession blindsides everybody, it's even worse because nobody is prepared for it, right? It's like, at least if the Fed were to say, hey, there's a problem, like let's say you're driving a car and they say, hey, you're going to crash, there's a wall coming up. All right, well, maybe you could put on your seatbelt if you weren't wearing it. Maybe you could slow down a little bit so you don't hit the wall quite as fast, as opposed to let the Fed not saying anything. So you go full speed into that wall, without, eating a sandwich in one hand and having a drink and, no seatbelt on, right? So it'd be better if industries and individuals prepared for a recession rather than just being completely surprised by one, because then you have even bigger mistakes that you have to correct during that recession, and it means the recession is going to be worse.
Yeah, and they actually refer to forward guidance as a tool these days. They actually say that they're going to talk things up, and that's actually one of their monetary policy tools, which is interesting.
Well, that's also the whole idea, or one of the ideas of quantitative easing, is to push up asset prices. So stocks will go up and real estate will go up so that the people who own those assets will feel richer. And because they feel richer, they'll spend more. They won't save as much. But those are mistakes. They're being tricked by inflated asset prices into believing they have more wealth than they do. And so they make spending and saving decisions that are really not optimal, that they wouldn't have made but for being fooled by the illusion created by inflation. And of course, what the Fed is also trying to do by inflating home prices, they make it easier for Americans to take out loans by pledging that collateral. But now the banking system is less stable because it's loaned all this money on inflated asset values.
Yeah.
And what happens when the bubbles deflate? The loans go bad.
Yeah.
Right? The borrowers default and the collateral's not there. So, all of this is, trying to make things look better in the short run than they really are, but it does incredible damage to the economy in the long run.